out. Here come former SportsCenter anchor Bob Stevens, esteemed basketball coach Rich Basirico, and Hall of Fame sportswriter Curry Kirkpatrick. And someone's going under the bus.
Sure, we have enough buses for all the people who've got to go under them this week. Bob Stevens, along with Curry Kirkpatrick and Rich Basirico. The first two guys under the bus are Wes Kerr and Justin Jarrett, our usual producers, who found something better to do tonight. So, Max, we thank you for being with us and taking care of us because those other guys, they're under the bus. We have to start with the college football playoffs. That's what's on everybody's mind. Not so much the 12 teams that got in, but the one that didn't, and that's Notre Dame. Curry, thoughts?
Well, first of all, I didn't get the memo. You guys both got plaid on tonight. I should have gotten the plaid out of my 1920s drawer. I think the system, they change it every year, this college football playoff, and it failed again.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. I think, they talk about all the big name schools, and Notre Dame is the one that didn't get in this time, but I think the football players want to be like the basketball playoffs and let the little guy in. That's why James Madison and Tulane are in this thing.
Yeah.
Right. They save spaces, but the problem is it's such a small field that it just doesn't work. You're not getting the best teams when you provide spaces for the little guys. Now, I'm all for James Madison and Tulane, but they don't belong in this category, in the field. And Notre Dame does. I think Texas does. BYU, Vanderbilt. These games, the problem is now Oregon is going to crush James Madison. And the other game now becomes Mississippi Tulane, which we already saw this game. Right. And it was like 45-6 or something. I mean, the committee surely could have done something like that. They could have moved Mississippi State down and put Texas A&M in the place so they don't play the same team they beat 45-6. I mean, that's just a mistake that the committee made. I mean, among others.
Right.
So, and the problem is, of course, Alabama got boat raced in the SEC championship game, and everybody says Alabama should have been out and Notre Dame in or Miami in. It's just because they let the little guys in that this becomes a problem.
Well, it should be the top best 12 teams. I mean, if you really want to look for a national championship, it's the best 12 teams. Heck, I was telling people I thought Notre Dame had a chance to win the whole thing before I found out they didn't even get into the playoffs.
A lot of people think that. Yeah.
Of course. They got all the way to the championship game last year.
Right.
And, they stubbed their toe early in the season.
But early. That was early. That was early. So now all of a sudden you lose the first game of the season. You might as well, we're out of the playoffs. We lost the first game of the season. I mean, they won the last 10 games, and plus they beat people. And they didn't just beat them. They beat them by, at Syracuse, they beat 70-7, I guess. They beat Navy, who has a good team. They beat Pittsburgh, has a good team. What did Alabama do the last couple of? I mean, they got beat bad by Georgia, and their wins against South Carolina and Auburn, who aren't very good teams, they just got by them. I don't understand how they left them out.
In the middle of the year, Alabama did beat 4 ranked teams in a row, but 3 losses, man, that's you can't lose to Florida State.
Right. So look at that one. So Notre Dame loses to Miami, the first game of the season, by 2 points, I guess?
Yeah,
Alabama loses to Florida State, who doesn't even have a winning record, and they got their tail kicked in. So where is that logic? The biggest thing, Curry and Bob, Notre Dame was ranked 10th all the last 4 or 5 weeks. They did everything you could do. They won their games, they won big, and then they dropped 2 spots. How did they drop 2 spots? What did they do wrong to drop 2 spots? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
They let Duke win. That was their problem.
Well,
The problem, one of the problems is I want to go after the ESPN weekly ranking show, which is absurd.
yeah.
And that's the problem. It starts in early November. And when it started, for instance, Miami was had just lost their second game and they were like 18th in the first rankings. And they slowly made their way up in the weekly rankings. But that weekly show, is the thing that gives hopes and fears to everybody. And you never know what they change. They're just contradictory every week. It shouldn't be on. That's one point that the Notre Dame athletic director, Pete Vivacqua, said it's ridiculous that weekly. That's the one point I agree with Notre Dame on.
Yeah.
They should get rid of that thing. ESPN only does it for the money. It's stupid, and it raises nobody knows where they are really. And then the last week it becomes, Miami moves ahead of Notre Dame, and Alabama stays ahead of nobody knows why.
Why? Well, yeah. What's the reason behind that? I mean, Miami and Notre Dame weren't even playing. BYU loses, and now Miami jumps Notre Dame. For what reason? Yeah. They say, well, we didn't discuss Notre Dame Miami game until BYU lost. Why haven't you discussed that? What's the reason behind not discussing that until the very end? Yeah. It makes no sense.
Hopefully they'll change up the committee a little bit. The committee had too many people on it who have a vested interest, who are athletic directors and people like that. It needs to be all coaches and writers who have retired, who are done, who don't have a dog in the fight, so to speak. And hopefully,
how about Curry and Bob Stevens do it?
I think we can do it.
You two guys should do it.
3 of us could do
it. Easily. But I don't think they should have. I think the weekly shows should be abandoned. I don't think they should have.
I totally agree.
Basketball does it and gets along fine. There's no weekly ranking show on basketball. There's they do a mid-season roundup, and the committee announces where they are at mid-season, and that's it. It's just, I want to change the focus now and get on Notre Dame. Okay. Yeah. It's just, it's so tacky that now the Notre Dame athletic director and the ACC commissioner are now attacking each other. They're in and it's their own fault. I mean, Notre Dame, has been asked to join the ACC in football, 3 or 4 times. They always rejected. They're in it. They're in all the other 24 sports except football. And, Notre Dame's always considered themselves special. They're above it all. They're above even joining a conference. And, people don't remember this, but Notre Dame didn't even honor the bowl games for years. They never played in a bowl game until 1969. They started, say, okay, we'll play in a bowl game. It's not beneath us. But it's embarrassing, this crying and whining that Bavacqua does. It's been embarrassing. I mean, Notre Dame, for all the hatred people give them, are still, to me, they're the face school of college football, whether they're good or bad. They're like the Yankees, whether they're good or bad, they're the face. And it is embarrassing at the end of the season, hear them whining all the time now. It's just, and not to play, they're not going to play in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Well, they think they're doing that to penalize ESPN for the ratings. I'm not sure the ESPN ratings is going to suffer that much for Georgia Tech playing BYU and the Pop-Tarts instead of Notre Dame playing BYU.
Strawberry is apparently the favorite to be eaten at the end of the game.
That's right. That's right.
Isn't that crazy? Now there are half a dozen teams that have said no to going to bowl games, which tells me more than anything they're just too many bowl games.
For sure. And then also, how about the players opting out? That's the other thing that happens. Players, I'm not going to play.
Well, this Jeremiah Love for Notre Dame was never. If they played in a bowl game, he wasn't going to play in that. A minor bowl game. But the thing is, I'm kind of surprised that with the college football playoffs, the bowl games, everybody says they've become obsolete and nobody cares about it. Well, they're in the same place they were before, other than the top 5 bowls. All these bowls have been played for years, and they didn't mean anything. There was no, they weren't playing for the championship, the national championship. So why are they being so criticized now in the last few years? I'm not sure I understand that.
The bowl games still matter if you're playing in it. If
Yeah.
you're one of the schools, if you go to a school that doesn't go to bowl games very often, this is still a pretty cool deal. There are a lot of schools who said, "Hey, we're glad. We'll go wherever you want us to go, and we'll go play. And even if we don't make much money, the Pop-Tarts Bowl was paying $6 million a team, which Notre Dame doesn't care about, but Georgia Tech will give that to the ACC. BYU will give that to the Big 12, and they'll be happy to get it."
Yeah. And if Notre Dame played in the Pop-Tarts or any other bowl, all the money goes back to Notre Dame. It doesn't go to the ACC. Right. Now Miami playing in a bowl, all their money will be shared by the ACC. So no wonder the commissioner Jim Phillips, tries to plug Miami over Notre Dame when they're talking about a bowl game. But somebody should ask Phillips, for all his high and mighty, what is the deal with his stupid process that lets Duke with 5 losses play in the championship game? Somebody should ask him that. What's this stupid ACC process? It's ridiculous.
They got to fix that tiebreaker. That's for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
7-5.
Well, speaking of, I think which Rich and Bob, we haven't even touched on this, but the head-to-head with Miami and Notre Dame should have been and was apparently the key stat that put Miami ahead of them, and that's what should be.
Yeah. Although, do you think a head-to-head is more important than who you lost to? I mean, to me, it still sticks with me. Alabama losing to Florida State. That's still, wow.
That was the first game of the season again. That was the first game of the season. You go back, that's September. Teams aren't the same now.
No,
I know, but that's exactly right, Curry. They're not the same now. Look at Notre Dame's record over the last 10 weeks of the season. They beat every team they face, and they beat them by a pretty big margin. They're playing the best football of any team. Well, maybe not Indiana. Indiana obviously is up there, and Texas Tech, but they're definitely in the top 5 of teams playing over the last part of the season. The best football out there. Isn't it in basketball? They always talk about who's playing well at the end of the season, like what team's playing really strong. That if you lose early, it doesn't really hurt you. Well, obviously, it does hurt you if you lose early. And they lost the first 2 games of the season, and boom, they can't even be in the top 12. Here's the thing I think they should do. I said this earlier. Take the top 12 teams, the best teams. If it's 4 teams from the SEC, fine. The top 12 teams.
But Rich, that gets back to my original point. The top 12 teams would not include these smaller schools. They just would not.
Right, exactly. They shouldn't be in there, Curry, because those 2 schools, it's nice that they're there. Their fans love it. Their alumni. But look at the point spread. I mean, it's like over 20 points for a playoff game. Come on.
I never thought I would say this from the moment I was born, but because I was brought up to hate Notre Dame. But but the playoffs are much lesser for the absence of Notre Dame. They really are. Sure. I mean, it's just, and they're much lesser. I think I keep saying Texas to me was playing great at the end.
Yeah.
Even and these other teams.
Vandy, how about Vandy?
Vandy played great all year.
Hey,
those are the teams. Those are the teams that should be in this thing.
2 guys who get to drive the bus. The Vandy coach for saying, you know what? We shouldn't have lost the 2 games we lost, and for taking it on himself and saying, we could have fixed this by not losing.
Right.
And the other guy, which I want to change the topic because of him, is my vote. If I'd have had a vote for the Heisman, it would have gone to Diego Paiva, the quarterback at Vanderbilt. Yeah. He's one of the finalists, along with Jeremiah Love, Julian Sayin, and the quarterback from Indiana, Francisco Mendoza.
Well, he might still win, Bob Pavia, because he's been pumped up all year, and except for the great performance that Mendoza put on in the big games of that Penn State game where
2 passes in the 4th quarter against Ohio State.
Okay, I got a question. Okay, who do you like? Let's pick a champion, Bob. Who do you like in this thing?
To win the whole thing?
Yeah.
I still think you're going to have to beat Ohio State
Yeah.
Ohio State and Georgia is going to be a great semifinal if that's the way it happened. Texas Tech might be playing better than anybody right now.
I like Texas Tech. I think their defense is tremendous, and Ohio State, obviously, they lost the game to Indiana, but that's just a blip on the screen for them. I think they're in the finals, but I think Texas Tech has a shot at going all the way.
Yeah, I'm surprised to say that because I'm going with you. Ohio State Indiana is a rematch is what everybody probably is picking, but Texas Tech's got a hard road, man. They're going to have to beat probably Oregon in the Sugar Bowl, and they're in the first game in the Sugar Bowl, and then or the Orange Bowl, I think it is. Then they would play Indiana in the semifinals. So they'd have to go through Oregon and Indiana to get to Ohio State.
Right.
But I think they're a terrific story, and they look very good. I think they're capable of doing it, Texas Tech.
Boy,
I do too.
Certainly against Brigham Young. All right, we got plenty more to come here on Under the Bus. We're going to talk a little NFL coming up next. We're still talking football. We've got the NFL, and maybe we got baseball coming up later on as well. The Hall of Fame voting. Boy, that hit like a rock. We'll talk about that too. Under the Bus, brought to you by Hudson's on the Docks. Great restaurant on Hilton Head Island. Look them up, hudsonsonthedocks.com. Welcome back to Under the Bus. Bob Stevens along with Curry Kirkpatrick and Rich Basirico. Hey, we're going to get to the NFL in a minute, but let's talk about the subject you guys like best, and that's college basketball. We're watching Brigham Young and Clemson, and Clemson has blown a how big a lead at halftime?
22. They closed the half with 22 points. They got the last 22 points of the first half.
Unbelievable.
And they're probably going to blow the game. It's down to 4 now.
Yeah, okay, and coming up to the end. Hey, the latest poll that came out, in the last 21 years, the champion has come out of the top 12 in this poll. The poll a couple of weeks before Christmas. 21 straight years and 35 out of 36.
Wow.
The champion has come out of the top 12 teams in this poll. Right now, North Carolina's 14th. St. John's is 2nd. Florida's 18th. And then Iowa State just finished beating Purdue like a drum this last weekend, knocking the Boilermakers, who had been number 1, down to 6. It's Arizona, Michigan, Duke, and Iowa State right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Does the champion come out of the top 12?
Yeah, I like those 4 teams right there. Michigan is terrific. They're kicking Villanova's fanny tonight, aren't they? They were up by about 25. Villanova has not a great team, but a good team. Michigan, didn't they beat up in Gonzaga?
They beat Gonzaga by 40.
40.
It could have been 60.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
that was on a neutral court.
Think how good Gonzaga is. Think how good they are. Those 4 teams you just mentioned, Bob. I think those are your final 4 teams right there.
Well, here's who's going under, because we got to remember we're under the bus here.
That's right.
A big name for me is going under, and that's Kentucky.
Yeah.
They're at 5 and 4, but their performances have been just dismal. They lost early they got blown out by Louisville, their big rival. Then they played in New York. They played Michigan State, and it was a boat race. And that's when Mark Pope, the coach, said, I got a quote, "Our identity was stripped away. That's a terrifying prospect." I mean, Kentucky was bickering in the huddles. They were impatient. Then they lost at home to North Carolina. Our 2 big guys just destroyed Kentucky. And then on the weekend, I don't know if you saw this, it was in Nashville. Gonzaga started the game against Kentucky 19-2. and that started the booing. And it was all these Kentucky fans booing Pope and Kentucky. And even Pope said the booing was incredibly deserved, especially by me. I mean, I'm not sure, with this climate of coaches being fired in the middle of the season, Kentucky fans aren't used to this thing.
Right.
And they, the next 2 weeks, Kentucky plays another one of their big rivals, Indiana, and then they play the former anti-hero, the devil himself, Rick Pitino in St. John's. And, if they lose that one, the TNT desk guys were already joking about Pope's job looking good to Pitino, looking good to the fans to go get Pitino again. I mean,
No,
it's
that's not going to happen. Patino's not going down to Kentucky. I can tell you that.
No, but Pope looks confused. Listen, this is a $22 million team. Kentucky has been bragging about this since the first of the season, how they spent all this money on this team, and they're ridiculous. I mean, they have no rhythm.
But don't they have like 3 guys hurt? Don't they have like 3?
Everybody has guys hurt.
I know, but I mean, they have 3 guys. Yeah. Well, Pope had last year. They were just couldn't say enough good things about Pope last year when he came over from BYU. They were raving about him as a coach, and in 1 year, look what happens. That's coaching. I mean, that's what happens.
Well, speaking of coaching, I got another guy to go under, and that's Tom Izzo. I mean, his team is having a terrific year, but they played Duke on the weekend, and they got the 3rd foul on Cameron Boozer. So he goes out for a while. He comes back in quickly, and Shire of Duke goes to his zone to protect Boozer.
Right.
And Izzo's team looked like they had never seen what a zone was. They gave the ball to their point guard, Fears, who can't shoot, and all he did was shoot. He was 0 for 10. This guy leads America. Fears leads America in assists. So, but I think he thought he was a shooter. And I don't know if you saw this, you guys, but Michigan State they were awful against the zone. And Cooper Flagg, by the way, the Duke freshman. Yes. He does everything better. No, not Cooper Flagg. Cameron Boozer. Cameron Boozer. To me, he does everything better than Cooper Flagg last year. He is a spectacular player. He's unstoppable. I mean, I don't say this about much. I don't know. They went to zone and he still was terrific. And he makes every good play. He made the important pass to Foster, who made the 3 that did the game, covered the game. And it was only 66-60, but I mean, Duke just embarrassed them in the zone defense.
Curry, compare Boozer to somebody else you've covered. We're big with the old guys. Old guys watch us. Who's somebody you covered?
Well,
who plays like
I hate to do that. I'm not sure. They've mentioned a bunch of guys. They've mentioned Tracy McGrady, and I don't know. He's bigger and stronger than Tracy McGrady, I think. But I have not thought he was that good until the last couple of games I've watched him. He really, when he gets the ball, he passes so well. When he gets the ball, he's so strong. He can score anytime he wants to, and he shoots threes. He's a terrific 3-point shooter. That's what separates him from DeBonsa and Carolina's kid, Wilson. Boozer just goes out and shoots threes.
You think he's as good as his dad?
Oh, he's much better than his dad.
Okay.
I mean, I think he's going to be much better than his dad. Oh, yeah.
Is he better than Bob Boozer?
He's not.
Now there was a player
from out of the past.
Yeah.
Bob Stevens. Bob Stevens goes past on us all the time.
Way back. Go way back there. Hey, let's change subjects to the NFL. Finish off the segment here. We can easily throw under the bus the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. Are they both done?
I think they are. I really think they are.
They're going to play for the title, and
they were picked to be preseason the top 2 or 3 teams in the league. I think Kansas City is done. I think they've had their moments, and Kelsey, I think, is done for sure. I mean, did you see that interception when it came off his hands and bobbled up in the air and they caught it? And then, of course, the Ravens, I don't know what's wrong with them. I don't know why defensively they're usually pretty strong. Yeah. They got a good quarterback, a great running back. They just can't get it done. But how about last night, Philadelphia Eagles? You're talking about blowing a game.
Talk about done. They might be done. It might be a mirror of a couple of years ago when they were. Remember when they were so good and then lost about 8 in a row?
Yeah.
It was, to me, watching Sunday night, it was kind of sad to me to see the Chiefs dynasty kind of died right there. I mean, it died before our eyes. And it was the Chiefs stars that that
Right.
just couldn't do it. Kelsey dropped a pass. Rice dropped a pass, an easy pass. Andy Reid made
Made a
what I thought
decision,
was
yeah,
a terrible
that's right.
fourth one and went for it when he could. He just gave Texas points on that play, and even Mahomes. They depend on Mahomes' magic, and it's just not happening this year. All those one possession games that they won last year are going the other way. Have gone the other way this year.
And that's how it often goes. So they both might be under the bus for sure. On the other side of things in the NFL, the Packers and the Bears and the Lions, all in the same division, any of them could win the whole thing, maybe. Huh?
Yeah, they could.
Same thing with the Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers in the NFC.
Yeah, man, who would you pick when you look at those teams right now? I mean, if someone said, "Okay, here's $1,000, bet your team to win the Super Bowl," who would you put it on?
I still like the Lions in the NFC. All of these teams in the NFC.
I like the Rams if they can.
The Rams, yeah.
If the Rams don't have to go into cold weather, they're going to win the whole thing. I think.
But
Rich, I wanted to ask you.
Next week. Yeah.
Rich, as a coach, I wanted to ask you about calls made by coaches at the end of the game.
Right.
I thought the Eagles game in the overtime, when it's first and goal, isn't it first and goal? And Hurts rolls out and throws it. I mean, was that a pass play called by what's his name on the sideline? That was a terrible call.
Yeah.
Don't you just run? You've got 4 downs. Don't you just run?
Plus, you got Barkley, who's having a good night. He's finally having a good night. He's rushed over 100 yards.
Don't you just run it into the end?
Absolutely.
Don't you just run it for 3 downs? You run it for 3 downs, and then if you don't get it, you kick the field goal. How can Hurts roll out the pass into trouble? I mean,
he's already thrown 3 interceptions, so he's not having a good game to begin with, right? He's not having a good game.
Same thing to me happened at the end of the Bears-Packers game. I don't know if you saw that. The Bears have the ball. It's on their 14. It's 4th and game. I mean, it's your last down. And who's the Bears quarterback? He rolls out to pass him. Don't you run the ball there? Don't you?
You would think. And the thing about it is when they roll out, you only have about a fourth of the field to look at, right? Unless you go back across the grain.
Right.
Yeah.
How about stay in the pocket and look and see? Heck, you might be able to run. But they roll out to take away half the field away from them.
It looked like Caleb could run it in for the touchdown. Instead, he throws the worst pass.
Right.
Remember, he threw like a
pass.
He threw a lob rainbow.
Right.
And it was about 6 feet short, easy interception instead of the touchdown to win the game. I couldn't believe the call. Yeah. I couldn't believe the call.
How about this dark horse to come back and win the whole thing after they've had all these problems? The Indianapolis Colts,
Tennessee, Texas.
Rivers. They've got him back. They signed him for the practice squad.
44 years old.
44 years old. Hasn't played in 5 years, and he's going to get a chance to lead them to the playoffs. How about that?
I hope he does it. It'd be a great story, but how can he do it? He's been coaching high school football.
Yeah.
In Alabama, that's what he's been doing. He's been coaching high school football. Now he's going to step on the NFL, on the field for the NFL game. How about Cleveland? How about talking about throwing to the bus? How about the Cleveland Browns come all the way back against the Titans? They need a 2-point conversion to tie the game, and they take Sanders out of the game. Yeah. He's not even in the game. Yeah. How do you take him out of the game?
After they had a 2-point conversion earlier, and they ended up fumbling the snap. Well, Sanders fumbled the snap on a 2-point conversion, and then they get another chance for a 2-point conversion and take him out of the game.
Yeah.
By the way, update: BYU just won the game on a 3-pointer at the buzzer.
Oh
wow!
67-64. Oh my goodness!
Wow! How about that?
Been a tough year at Clemson, hasn't it?
That's a long flight home after being up by 22.
Yeah. But that basketball team's been doing great, Clemson basketball team, until the second half here.
Rich, longest bus ride you ever had after a loss?
Oh,
even if it wasn't by miles, just in having to sit there.
Probably coming back. It's interesting. Coming back from Charleston in a state championship game, we lost, and I was I was so out of it. I had one of my former players who was, out of college and he came to watch the game. I asked him to drive the bus home, and I couldn't drive the bus home. All the kids went with their parents, so we just had this, and I just said, Jimmy, would you mind driving? I mean, again, he was out of high school, college, and so forth, and I just kind of laid on the seat and just couldn't even.
You went under the bus.
How many players?
You
How
went
many
under
players?
your own bus.
How many players were on that bus?
None.
Not many.
They went all home. They went all home with their parents. None of them was on the bus.
Isn't that because you told them they weren't going to get hamburgers because they got beat?
I told them if we lost, they're going to have to run home. So they all went home with their parents. No.
Good stuff. Hey, we're going to talk about the Baseball Hall of Fame. We got the NBA. We got the World Cup. We still got lots of people to throw under the bus. Stay with us. Under the Bus brought to you by Hudson's on the Docks. Welcome back to Under the Bus. Bob Stevens along with Curry Kirkpatrick and Rich Basirico. I know you guys don't care that much right now about baseball, but the Hall of Fame, the special old timers committee got together this past weekend and voted Jeff Kent into the Hall of Fame.
You talk about a bad day for Bonds.
Yeah.
his hated teammate Jeff Kent gets in, and he's sitting there. He can't get in forever.
I mean, when you think, guys, when someone says Jeff Kent, do you automatically think, before this all happened, a Hall of Famer? Jeff Kent.
The only reason he is the only thing you can sell Jeff Kent on is that he hit more home runs than any second baseman.
Yes.
Yeah.
The reason why is because Barry Bonds kept getting walked. He was getting good pitches because Bonds was getting walked either in front of him or behind him.
Right. Well, and think of this too. If he's such a great player and a Hall of Famer, how come he was traded 6 times? He played in 6 different teams.
Hey,
if he's that good, you think a Hall of Famer, you're thinking about the best of the best. Why are they trading him so many times?
Brutal. He spent a little bit of time in Cleveland and did nothing. And Cleveland traded him to the Giants for Matt Williams, which was a great trade actually for Cleveland, as it turned out. In '97, he helped take them to the World Series. But I mean, Don Mattingly did not get voted in. Dale Murphy did not get voted in, but Jeff Kent did. Weird stuff. And Bonds, Clemens, and Fernando Valenzuela did not, and now cannot be on the ballot until 2031.
Wow.
We will probably not be doing a show then, but we'll have a chance to throw the Hall of Fame under the bus for those guys too.
But Bob, mention some of the second basemen who are not in that have stats similar to.
Here's another reason why. So what? Jeff Kent had more home runs than any second baseman. You know who's second on the all-time list for home runs for second baseman? Robinson Cano.
Wow.
And your favorite team wouldn't trade for him now. I mean,
how about Chase Utley?
Yeah,
Lou Whitaker. Chase Utley. Those are 2 guys that come up and also Bobby Grich. Remember Bobby Grich for the Baltimore Orioles?
Yeah.
When you think of Hall of Famers, I think of those 3 guys before I think of Jeff Kent.
Absolutely. NBA.
Bob is. I'm going past on you now. Is my boy Red Schoendienst in the Hall of Fame?
I do not think Red
He's a great player. He's a great player. Is he in the Hall? Is he in the Hall?
He won what? He won a World Series as a manager.
As a player, he won with Stan. But is he in the Hall of Fame? Do we know?
I don't think he is.
I don't think he is.
He might be. I'd have to look that one up.
Yeah,
we'll get that on next week. We'll do a whole segment, the Red Schoendienst segment next week. Somebody under the bus. Got something from you from the NBA. James Harden in the past week had his 25th 50-point game. That's pretty good stuff.
Yeah,
that is more than Steph Curry and Kevin Durant combined.
Wow.
25 50-point games. Michael Jordan had 31 50-point games. Wilt had 118.
Yeah, that's what you always say.
How great was Wilt Chamberlain? I mean, that's just there you go.
One of the best of the best.
No, I think absolutely was. And on the other side of things, LeBron got held to single digits for the first time in over 1,200, almost 1,300 games that he didn't get double digits. He passed. He could have shot. Everybody says LeBron's a little selfish. Could have shot the last shot and was open to do it. Decided to pass to a guy who made a three to win the game.
Well, you know the reason behind that is he's been hanging out with Bronny too long.
And there you go. There goes Rich. Rich got Bronny in. That's amazing. Rich got Bronny in.
Good job, Rich.
well, but LeBron is also in controversial headlines this week when his buddy, his pal, Rich Paul, his agent, came out and said the Lakers, as currently built, cannot win the championship. And everybody thought that everything Rich Paul says basically is LeBron talking. Yeah. So now everybody's thinking, okay, LeBron is telling the Lakers we need to trade somebody. Of course, Austin Reeves is the guy they're always talking about trading. So now everybody's thinking, well, Rich Paul is talking, and it's out of his mouth, but it's coming from LeBron's head. So there's a new controversy brewing, and in the same sort of month that all this stuff is LeBron going, how about the Lakers, Jeannie Buss firing her two brothers?
Yeah.
It's hysterical. And she fires them.
which is almost, I don't know if you guys have seen, was it a Netflix series that
yeah, I saw that. It was great.
Did the NBA thing,
the Lakers.
The daughter ends up running the team.
Yeah. And that was about her two older brothers, which she fired in 1967 or something. Okay. They got fired too. Now these are the two younger brothers who actually are an assistant general manager. That's Jesse, and a vice president for research and development, whatever that is Joey. And they both got fired. And Jeannie remains a primary team governor, even though they sold the club to that rich guy Mark. The Dodgers, Mark Walter. Right. But Jesse told ESPN, here's his quote, Dr. Buss, my dad's idea was for us to run the operations one day, but Jeannie has put herself in place while her siblings get fired. That might have been a fun Thanksgiving. That's for sure.
I tell you what, I'd like to be the vice president of research and development for an NBA team.
Yeah.
What a great
what does he do? He tells LeBron you should be shooting more, or what? I mean, what does he tell him?
Yeah. He is not the one who made the Luka Doncic trade, right?
Yeah, right. No.
Good.
That was a great trade for the Lakers, right? Don't you think? I mean,
listen.
Bob, you mentioned the World Cup. Let's get on to the World Cup, which I think is one of the great was probably the greatest sporting event. I love when the World Cup began.
Yep.
But their pre-draw World Cup draw show, which was a few days ago, was maybe the worst thing ever shown on television. I don't know if you watch this thing, but music by Andrea Bocelli to the Village People, hosted by 6'10" Heidi Klum and 4'8" Kevin Hart. And they give a fake peace prize to Donald Trump, which was the tackiest thing. I mean, what could go wrong? What could go wrong with that setup?
So they also had the president of Mexico and the president and the prime minister of Canada on the stage together,
taking selfies with each other with Trump. It was embarrassing. I mean, and a few days later, which is now, there's been official complaints filed against FIFA and that thug, crooked thug, head of FIFA, Gianni Infantino, who must have come out on the stage about a half dozen times to applause, which got lesser and lesser as he came out each time. He's Trump's butt buddy. He proclaimed publicly for Trump to get the Nobel Peace Prize, and when he didn't get it, Johnny Infantino made up his own Peace Prize to give the thing, which I don't know if you saw it. It's 3 times bigger than the World Cup. It's enormous globe. I mean, how many? It was just so. How many trips on Air Force One and free nights at Mar-a-Lago do you think Johnny's going to get for this?
All that he wants. That's
and then they lined up. They lined up Aaron Judge and David and Shaq and Brady and Gretzky to pull out the golf balls. And Gretzky pronounced Curacao. He can't even pronounce the country.
They made Gretzky do all the hard names. All of the teams.
But why? Seriously, why is Aaron Judge there? What is that about? I mean, that's ridiculous.
If you think of the worst Jerry Springer moments in history, multiply them by 10. That was this show. It was so awful. And it went on and on and on. God, it was on like for 3 hours. So awful.
And all they had to do in 3 hours was like draw 40 names. Put 40 names on a board.
Yeah.
Even the NCAA, for all that we beat on the NCAA, even for basketball, they can get that done in an hour.
Right. Exactly.
But hopefully this guy Infantino will be in prison before the World Cup starts. I wouldn't be surprised.
He'll be pardoned. He'll be pardoned by Trump.
Yeah, there you go.
It was awful
for him. Probably the U.S. got as good a draw as anybody could have hoped.
When they play Portugal first?
No, Paraguay, not Portugal.
Paraguay. I get those mixed up. I'm like Gretzky. I get the countries mixed up.
But you're right, Curry. The World Cup, and I hope we talk about it when it comes up next summer.
Oh, yeah, terrific.
If you've ever been to one of these countries, or if you know somebody from one, if you got somebody to root for, this is like NASCAR. If you got somebody to root for, this is terrific sport because the countries that are playing in this thing live and die by how the games go. And
I've been in Europe at Wimbledon several times when the World Cup's been going on, and you go into and in Paris. I was in Paris one year. Every shop, every restaurant you go into has the World Cup on TV, screaming. You can't get away from it. You can't. It's unbelievable.
It'll be great stuff. And I'm sure we will give you the most comprehensive breakdown in all of podcast world.
I've got a thing I want to call. Maybe I'll do it weekly. Called my bus stops instead of under the bus. The bus stops where you look at TV, you hear something or see something, and you just go, "What? What did the guy say?" My first candidate, Tim Brando, doing the Michigan State Duke game on Fox, starts the game. He actually said this. He said, "We have a magnificent officiating crew here today." What? I go, what? What did he say? Magnificent officiating.
Was Donald Trump one of the officials?
Yeah. Then I have Gus Johnson, who could be in this every week. He started off the Ohio State Indiana Big Ten game. He said he was introducing teams. He says introducing the world famous Ohio State Buckeyes. What? World famous? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Then he introduced Indiana. He didn't say that at all. I guess they're the Fort Wayne famous Indiana Hoosiers. I mean, these guys. It was unbelievable. Then I got my best one. This is not really sports oriented, but Jake Tapper, the great Jake Tapper on CNN.
Sure.
He was breaking the news the other afternoon about the pipe bomb suspect who they arrested.
Right.
And he said this. He said, "This is just in. Authorities have identified the suspect as a 30-year-old white man, Brian Cole Jr. from Woodbridge, Virginia. No details about his motivation." Well, his motivation maybe was that he's not a white man. He's a black guy. And they kept showing a photo of this white guy who Jake Tapper just told us he was a white guy. And they kept showing a photo of a bespectacled black guy. In the next hour, they must have shown his photo a dozen times. Jake never acknowledged his mistake. He never corrected himself. He never admitted, I made a misstatement. I get it. I go, what? Jake, what? I played it because I was watching. I was watching for an hour. I played it back to see if I misheard, but no, he said he was identified as a 30-year-old white man.
Curry,
That's
he
bad.
ended up being the guy who was calling that Michigan State Duke game. That's how good his eyes were.
It's our magnificent officiating.
All right. So there's a good reason to stop the bus or throw somebody under the bus. Rich, you got one to finish up?
I don't think I have anybody today. I think we covered them already.
All right. I got two then. I'll give you one of mine.
Good. Perfect.
The guys who this weekend coming up is Q School for the PGA Tour. They have 176 guys playing for 5 PGA Tour cards.
Wow.
A bunch of the rest of them do get Corn Ferry status and minor league status, but these guys are playing for their lives. 176 of them down in Ponte Vedra for 5 cards. Good luck to all of them. There's going to be a bunch of people living under a bus after that one's over. And my favorite one, a boxer from England. His name is Jake Pollard. He is 33 years old. He lost his 100th fight this last week. His record is 1-100.
No.
A professional boxer. And amazingly, he has only been knocked out. This last time he was knocked out, he's only been knocked out 6 of those 100 times.
Wow. So he doesn't see the writing on the wall, does he?
He actually says, it's my job to be one of the first fights for these young up and comers.
Right.
If they're any good, if they beat me, they can move on. If one of them doesn't, they know
if they don't beat them, for
he
sure.
Is 1-100.
Well, Bob, is this right? You didn't mention the key number is the one victory was against his wife. Was that?
Yeah, but she won the rematch in Vegas. She took him out in the rematch. I don't know. One of those weeks in sports. We thank you all for joining us. We thank Max for stepping in and producing this marvelous showcase that we've brought you. And we will try to do better next time for sure. For Curry and for Rich, I'm Bob Stevens. Thanks so much for joining us, and a good week of throwing folks under the bus.
Under the bus.